Yep. Well, I love growth. Absolutely love growth. Let's bring in Steve Moore, host of More Money and WABC Radio and Committee to Unleash Prosperity, and Mike Faulkender, former Deputy Treasury Secretary, AFBI. Mike Faulkender, I've been selling your no Biden inflation tax, okay? No Biden inflation tax. Been selling it during the whole show. It's a great thing. And I think it'll catch on. I think if we hammer away and explain what you mean by this, it'll catch on.
Absolutely, because if you think about why asset prices go up in value, some of it is because of inflation that's taken place. And if you look at the 20% inflation that we had under Joe Biden, if you then don't index capital gains to inflation, if you don't do anything about the home equity exemption, then more of that increase that's just because of Biden's inflation that he caused gets taken away in taxes. And so it creates this perverse incentive where Democrats actually want inflation in order to get more tax revenue. We absolutely have to index capital gains in order to avoid taxing people for Biden inflation.
You know, Steve Moore, Marsha Blackburn just had an interesting point. Maybe you stick your little toe in these reforms by putting it for seniors. Because after all, seniors will be the ones who would be most worried about the allowance, you know, and how much you can deduct. That might be one way to do it, make it for seniors. But the point is, we need pro-growth tax reform. Alicia Finley was right today in the Journal. And we also need some pro-growth spending reform, for heaven's sake, Steve. We can't, you know, let's have a real bill that maps what the GOP would do if you reelect them.
So 81, I just did the numbers, Larry, 81% of the inflation that's happened since COVID happened under Biden, not Trump. So you guys are right. It is the Biden inflation, and it's the highest inflation rate we had since the good old days of Jimmy Carter. Remember that? And so I could not agree more. It's not just an economic growth provision that we're talking about here. It's also a matter of fairness, Larry, fairness. I mean, the Democrats love to talk about fairness. Most Americans would agree that it is not fair to tax people on an inflationary phantom gain. In fact, you could actually have no real gain and pay a tax on it. That's how
right.
unfair that tax is. So if you want to get rid of the problem of a shortage of housing, as you just said with Marsha Blackburn, let older people sell their house, maybe go to Florida, go on a golf course, and maybe they only need a 2-bedroom house, not a 4-bedroom house, and you're open up houses for families. I just want to make one other point. I'm so sick of people bad-mouthing this economy, Larry. It's an amazing economy. Really, I mean, if you look at the statistics on what's going on, we are the envy in the world. Look at the earnings of American companies. Look at the stock market. Look at the jobs report, the lowest number of people who've been laid off since the Beatles were still playing together. I mean, this is a great economy, and Trump it doesn't get the respect he deserves.
Well, you know, story out late last week, I think you had it in the hotline, but the lowest quartiles had the best gains after one big, beautiful bill. Now, that story is not being told, but it has to be told by the White House. It has to be told by House and Senate Republican members because the media won't tell it. Look, today, as a result of the one big, beautiful bill, Mike Faulkender, or partially, the business capital investment came out again booming. 0.9% in June alone, orders, shipments 1.9. I mean, look at this. The last 3 months, orders are up 8.9% at an annual rate. Shipments are up 11.1%. Backlogs are up 8.8% at an annual. These are gigantic numbers, Faulkender. And I think, by the by, a lot of it comes from the 100% depreciation bonus.
That's exactly right, because when you allow businesses to match the expensing for tax purposes to when they actually incur the cost of buying the equipment or of building the factory, you're going to create better incentives, more incentives for that activity to take place here in the United States. This was always part of the larger plan to redomesticate manufacturing. And let me also just add to what Steve just said about a lot of the big, beautiful bill gains going to the lower quartile of earnings recipients. Remember, higher income people don't work overtime. They aren't tip earners. So if you think about the provisions we put in a big, beautiful bill, they were absolutely targeted at the lower and middle class workers who are tip recipients and overtime workers, because that's where the president felt that we needed to target that tax relief. And so anybody who says that this was just another tax bill for the rich just again refuses to look at the core elements of the bill.
Steve Moore, have some fun on this, but it's not fun if you live in New York. So Mayor Mondami, whatever he is, socialist, communist, has just hired Lena Khan, if I'm pronouncing her name right, Lena Khan.
Yes.
The Unleash Prosperity Hotline calls her the Darth Vader of free market economics. But one disappointing thing, now you put this in here, J.D. Vance kind of likes her. He said, quote, back in 2024, I don't agree with Lena Khan on every issue, to be clear, but I think that she's been very smart about trying to go after some of these big tech companies that monopolize what we're allowed to say in our own country. End quote. That's an odd thing for a Republican vice president.
Yeah, it sure is. Lena Khan is, as I just said, as you just said, the Darth Vader. She is a super regulator. She was the head of the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, under Joe Biden. There was not a single merger. Anytime a company makes profits, she thinks that they're somehow up to some kind of nefarious activity. And I'm puzzled by this. Why would J.D. Vance say what a wonderful job she is doing? She is very likely, by the way, if AOC turns out to be the Democratic nominee, and right now she's in first place in New Hampshire, she would be the economic advisor to AOC. Oh. And J.D. Vance is out there talking about how great she is.
What fun. What fun. By the way, Mondami's published a list of pied-à-terre. He may dox the pied-à-terre tax people, which I think is illegal, by the way. You're not allowed to do that. But whatever. The beat goes on here in New York City. Steve Moore, thank you. Mike Faulkender, don't let him have the Biden inflation tax. You're absolutely right, buddy.